of a new week, and happy Monday to you. It's about 1:20, almost 1:20, so a little bit later than I'd like to get on here. We'll see about keeping the conversation relatively short. 20 minutes, half an hour, it seems. Honestly, it all depends on if I get some friends stopping by to chat on the chat section, which is always fun and always takes the conversation in new and fun directions. Sometimes away from the original topic, if I have an original topic, um, and sometimes right along the line there. The thing is, it's all a conversation, so every conversation should be free to go wherever it does, creatively speaking. Today, and I got my computer up as I normally do, but this time specifically to look some stuff up as we talk, because I've been thinking quite a bit lately on Christian mystics, one of my favorite things to think about, as well as the teachings of Jesus as surmised in the Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes. Now, I'm not a Christian. I went to a Catholic school for grade school in my first year in high school, after which all parties decided I was better off in a public school. Soon for the public school to realize that I was better off in no school whatsoever. But, I did my best. I struggled through. And school really was a struggle. From kindergarten on, I could not pay attention for most of my classes. Science, portions of science, yes. History, absolutely loved. English, as long as we were dealing with literature. When it came to grammar, I was lost. When it comes to grammar, I'm still lost. Amazing enough, I wasn't really exposed to what I would consider to be the teachings of Jesus. I was indoctrinated in the beliefs that in the Trinity, and which is also the name of the school that I went to, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. But really, I can't think of specifics of what I learned other than traditions. Do this. This is what Christmas stands for. This is what Easter stands for. Behave in this manner to be in the grace of God. Get to heaven one day. Heaven was sort of a iffy proposition, not because I was a bad person, but who knows what it was? Nobody actually said what it was. And when you think about it now, what is it? What is your definition of heaven? Do you have one? Does it matter? Almost every day I end up quoting Catherine of Siena, St. Catherine of Siena, and her quote, "All the way to heaven is heaven," which is why I have my Google up. Not my personal Google. As we can talk about different Christian mystics and the quotes. Here's what I love about Christian mystics. They broke from their orthodoxy. They couldn't help but break from the orthodoxy because they had the inner experience of what the people in charge only talked about but never knew, never experienced. And they had the audacity to talk out loud and to offer and to teach it. All the priests, all the cardinals, even the bishops, the popes, all of them never had that experience. Or maybe very few. So they couldn't talk about it. And when somebody somebody like Meister Eckhart, who was just a friar, someone like St. Francis. When they talked about it, they were, again, speaking from their personal experience. St. John of the Cross, St. Teresa, all these people had that inner experience of their personal connection with the Godhood. And those in charge could not stand for someone beneath them to have that experience, which is why Meister Eckhart was threatened, recant, and others were actually put to death. Our friend Destiny Forever Walks, PhD, is here. Happy Monday, Eric. How are you? I'm doing pretty well today. I'm talking about mysticism, Christian mysticism. And was going to look up some quotes. If anyone has some favorite quotes from any of the Christian mystics, let's put them out there. Let's talk about them. I mentioned mine, St. Catherine of Siena, Meister Eckhart, who my favorite quote by him is, "The eye in which I see God is the same eye in which God sees me." And I actually, the very first book, this will be backwards, very first book I ever wrote, self-published, deeply inspired by Christian mysticism, as well as my own meditation practice at the time, which was passage meditation on the prayer of St. Francis, where St. Francis beseeches God to make him an instrument of thy peace. And it actually is, although the epigraph is from the Bhagavad Gita, and it's inspired by mystics of all traditions, but heavily influenced by the Christian mystics. And the premise is, does God have a hero? And it is both a personal God and an impersonal God, or relationship. It's likened to an impersonal God, meaning that God is the very structure of the universe itself, the fabric of beingness, the fabric of reality. So it's impersonal in the sense that everything arises from that, and yet it's very personal because we are that. We are that. Such important words. I am that. I am. Let's see. Destiny asked, does God have a hero? You said that was your first book you wrote. May I ask this question, how do you define God? That's actually the entire premise of the book. And I was just saying that I personally define God as reality, as life. I could just as easily, after my education in Catholic school, I could just as easily do without the word God and just say, that's why I love the Vedic tradition of the personal aspects, Krishna, Shiva, or some of the goddesses, that personal and impersonal, God being reality and life, that allows all those little aspects to come and rise. And very personal, because again, we are that aspect. Nearer than near. Nearer than the breath. It's funny, some of the deepest quotes that signify God, Godhood, and reality come from the Zen tradition. And Zen is generally viewed as a agnostic at best, atheist. Atheist only in that it doesn't believe in that the God worshipped in Western tradition. Our friend Gregory's here. finally caught up live again. My lucky day. Our lucky day as well. Thank you, Gregory. So yeah, the whole book sums up my view of God and my relationship, our relationship, my belief in our relationship of God, beginning with when you close your eyes and see God within, you are God's hero. And then each little stanza has an essay. The essay for this, if you guys don't mind me reading a little bit from the book, God is never far from us. He is always within us. If we close our eyes and quiet our minds, we will find God. We will find God within, waiting to bring forth the awareness into our everyday life. When we discover God within us, we will never again be lonely. How could we? We now have divine companionship. Know that we never can be separated from God. He is part of our every fiber, our very being. We are part of God, manifested in human form. When we realize this, we will show real love. We will know God as our forever companion. When you open your eyes and see God in everyone, you are God's hero. And here's a very important thing for me. A whole new level of responsibility comes with the knowledge that God is within us. If God is within you and me, then he is within everyone. Even those who you may dislike, even those who may hate, everyone. With this new responsibility, we now have a choice. Should we continue to judge the human personalities with which come into our daily contact? Or should we just look past the human form in which we all share in different forms, shapes, and colors, and see the divine form that shines from within all of us? It's a simple choice, although it's not an easy one. Just a little bit from the book. I won't go too much. I do want to talk about other, although if anyone wants, I can read some more from it. I'm actually lucky because I found a copy of the book. I hadn't actually seen it for quite some time. Again, it was I had just quit drinking. I was living my life for the first time in over a decade in a completely sober fashion. I felt a little lost. It put some things behind me. And I remember stepping up from a deep meditation and asking myself, what should I do with my life? And the entire poem, Does God Have a Hero?, which is about half a dozen or so stanza, came to me. And I wrote it out on a yellow legal pad, and later added essays to what I thought was important to the passages. And some friends asked for copies. So I made copies and handed them out, and then they said I should publish it. Finding a publisher is almost impossible unless you've been published. It's weird how that happens. Let's get caught up in some of the conversation here. Let's see. Destiny says, like what you said, Eric, close your eyes and see God within. I can relate to that saying. You know, when I started talking about the mystics, I thought this would be a topic of importance to you. I think it's something that we share. Let's see. So I'll read the very last two. When you trust in God with all your heart, knowing that the universe is formed from love, your trust will pay off with love, abundance, joy, and the knowledge that you are God's hero. When your desire to know God is so great that in desperation you finally give up searching for him where he never has been found, you will find him where he's always been, watching, waiting, within, ready to welcome home his hero. So, not only the Christian mystics, so the Vedic mystics, Sufi mystics, mystics from all traditions have really inspired me. Thomas Merton is another all-time favorite mystic. Teachings from A Course in Miracles. My favorite quote from A Course in Miracles, of many, many, is that the only lesson from the cross is that we can all survive our own crucifixion. Such an important message, because there are parts of life, there are people in our lives, there are situations in our life which will all seek to crucify us in some way. We see that here. We see it here on YouTube. You try to do some good, and there will be someone who is more than happy to step up and attempt to put you in your place, attempt to embarrass you, attempt to be mean for whatever reason. Little things. Nothing that matters in the big picture of things, but it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us, not so much to rise above, but to work on ourselves. If we have buttons that can be pushed, that means we have buttons that will be pushed. Our role isn't to defend ourselves against those people. Our role is to eliminate our buttons, smooth them out, be unpressable. Those buttons can't be pressed because they no longer exist. Somebody can come here and say whatever they want about me, and they have, and you guys have seen some people try to do that. If I can smile, if I can welcome them, if I can treat them all as guests, which, let's bring that up. Since we're talking about mystics from all traditions, it's one of my all-time favorite poems. Rumi, Persian poet, Sufi tradition. His poem, The Guest House. And this is what I mean, an absolute beautiful description of eliminating our buttons, because we don't have, in reality, we don't have buttons that can actually be pushed. This is Rumi's poem, The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Be grateful for all who comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. How absolutely beautiful that entire poem is, but the ending, the last two stanzas, the dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. The profound effect this poem had on me decades ago was the energy for me to do that inner work. Because you know what? They're always going to show up at your door. Dark thoughts, shame, malice, people bringing them, our own thoughts, creating them from past events that no longer even exist. Destiny and I have talked a bit here about forgiveness. That's how you overcome. Not through force of will, not through force of personality, not through conquering anyone or even conquering yourself, but through forgiveness, through the gentle act of forgiving. And it's not about the other person. It's not about the situation. It's about your energy. It's about freeing your energy from those karmic ties that keep you bound in the past, that energetically pull you down. One of my favorite quotes, not a mystic, but this is a mystical quote nonetheless. Mark Twain on forgiveness, that forgiveness is the fragrance released by the violet upon the heel that has crushed it. Man, people have said the most beautiful things in the world. Mark Twain. Now, I grew up loving Mark Twain, loving Huckleberry Finn, loving Tom Sawyer, loving his short stories. I must have read Huckleberry Finn a dozen times as a kid. I have a copy behind me on the bookshelf of Huckleberry Finn that was given to my mother for Christmas when books were a rare commodity. Everyone loved them, but they were expensive, and this was in the Depression. She got it, I believe, in 1941. I'll have to look. Just a kid. She was born in 1931. So it might have been 39 or 1940 for Christmas. So, yeah, Mark Twain has been a favorite in my family. I read my mom's copy of that book every time I read it. It was literally falling apart, and an ex-girlfriend of mine actually redid it as a Christmas present. So yeah, Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer, important books, but that one phrase on forgiveness is the most beautiful thing I think he's ever written. That forgiveness is the fragrance released from the violet upon the heel that has crushed it. Imagine if all we gave out was love, no matter what came our way, as Rumi says in The Guest House. If we laughed in the face of all of that, because all we had was love and laughter and joy in our heart, do you think war would still be possible? Do you think crime would still be possible? Because love and forgiveness spread from us, from who we are. Everyone's affected by it. They say in Patanjali's The Yoga Sutras that those who are steeped in ahimsa, non-harm, can't be hurt. Or if they are hurt, they know it's coming, which some say Gandhi knew it was coming. Some say Dr. King knew death was imminent. And yet he also knew his message would just grow stronger from his death. He was unafraid of dying for his cause. Gandhi was unafraid. Gandhi, who used his mantra, Rama. Rama was the personification, the god of joy, personification of joy. That was his mantra through life, his mantram that he repeated almost endlessly. And his last words after he was shot was Rama, 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 offered to his assassin forgiveness. Jesus on the cross, forgive them, Father. Destiny mentioned that the other day, yesterday I think. Forgiveness. When Jesus was asked how many times should we forgive, he said 70 times 7, which symbolizes infinitely. We always forgive. It's not about the other person. It's about us. Being liberated. Why would we ever want to be chained to a past event or a person who mistreated us? We don't. Let them go. The only way you let them go is to forgive, collect your energy, and move on. So that was Rumi. That was Mark Twain. St. John of the Cross. One of my all-time favorite mystics, him and St. Catherine, who wrote The Interior Castle. Whenever anything disagreeable or displeasing happens to you, remember Christ crucified and be silent. So, Those are the things that have been playing in my head for whatever reason. One of the Christian quotes here is from John Donne that Destiny and I talked about not too long ago, maybe a week or so. No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a cloud be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory war, as well as if a manner of thy friends, or of thine own war, any man's death diminishes me, because I am evolved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. So again, what I loved about the mystics of any tradition is that they were steeped in the orthodoxy, restrained. They were not supposed to be saying this stuff. And yet the joy of their discovery of God was so great, they had no choice but to speak out, to sing out, to shout out the love, the glory of God, of whatever God it is that you realize, whatever name. It's all the same. But people realize it in different personal notes. And that's part of the joy. It's part of the fun. Unfortunately, because it happens that way, it gives other people who have not had that experience something to fight for. Because if you are claiming this experience of God and they haven't had it, it seems unfair. How can you know this? I've been reading the Bible and I haven't had this experience. I have been going to church once a week for my entire life, and now you're telling me that you've had a personal experience with God and I haven't? Maybe it's because you've been going to church once a week, looking for God in halls, in rooms, and not being out in nature. Where did St. Francis discover God? Where Saul struck down on his horse, but he was outside, he was on horseback. His experience of God was a flash of light that blinded him. Wasn't in a church. I thought of Saul, St. Paul this morning, actually, when I was writing in my blog, and I was writing about beliefs. Because no one was more convinced about the evils of Christianity than Saul. He killed Christians for a living, joyfully. That was his passion. Not only did he do it part of his job, he did it out of conviction. His beliefs were strong, firm, unshakable. Until a flash of light knocked him off his horse, he had a vision of Jesus and he was instantly changed. Everything he believed previously was seen as being wrong. And yet we have that. We have that example and countless more. And for whatever reason, we remain convinced of our own convictions. We have to be right. This is how God is, and you can't tell me otherwise, because I know, because I read it in a book, or because this person told me, or because my parents told me. That's not the experience of God. That's a description somebody gave you of God. You need to be struck from your horse and blinded by a flash of light so that you know God, and that every single belief and every single description that you have is now let go, and you are living in that light. You have nothing to give but love. If you take an orange and you squeeze it, all you get is orange stuff. I would say orange juice, but you're going to get all of it. You're going to get the pulp, but it's all going to be orange. When you are steeped in God's love and you are crushed, all that comes out is love. All that comes out is forgiveness. You are the violet that has been stepped on. And all that comes out is the fragrance of forgiveness, the fragrance of God. So, all right, guys, we're coming up in half an hour. This was actually a fun talk for me, and I appreciate Destiny and Gregory being here. Appreciate you listening to me talk about this stuff. I'm going to do it again because I enjoyed it. And I hope you guys did as well. Next time, though, let's share some of your favorite quotes and let's talk about them. I really don't want it to be my conversation. I want it to be our conversation. So bring these quotes. Can be from anything or anybody, any book. They can be your own. Have you had that experience in deep meditation, in deep silence, in deep prayer? And have you come out of it and you've written anything down? Even while it's happening or after it's happening, after the fact? Or even just a thought or an inspiration. Bring it here. Let's talk about it. Let's share the experience. That's what it's all about here. That's what I would like it to be all about, is that it's a conversation and we're sharing it together. Because you know what? We all need it. We all need to be steeped in that love right now. Whatever your description of God is, absolutely perfectly fine by me. I'm not one to say, no, that's not it. Because it is for you. If you're an aspect of God, then your view of God right now is the exact view that's needed for you of God. But I will say, allow it to change and grow as you change and grow. And the only way to change and grow, give it all away. Give those thoughts, give that love, give the forgiveness, give it away. Give it to other people. And watch how your life and the life of others changes. So, all right, guys. That's it for today. I will see you tomorrow. And again, thank you guys. Very much appreciated you being here. Take care.